And the
So-
deadline application is March 27th.
Right.
For it to go in, right? And you have to put in detail what you're using it for?
Well, that's why I'm suggesting just use trail, and then,
Then you can modify.
because then you can modify it, and they already gave us money for a trail, which is only so many feet long, and this would just be an extension of our current trail.
So we can use that for like landscape architect.
Well, we could, but you have to send that plan into them.
And it won't be-
And I don't think, it won't be ready, because I don't think those decisions have been finalized.
So you can't then take that money and use it towards a service study, come up with a plan for other grants.
I think we can't,
Unless if you give it to us anyway, we got it twice, so they may not even give it to us, but.
but,
They actually gave us money, right?
yeah,
It's twice, yeah.
twice. And, so I thought, what the heck?
We did, Joe.
What?
I'm thinking of bad jokes.
Okay. Well, does everybody want to just try to put it in, or no? I mean, we just look at
Yeah,
it.
what could they do?
They can't hurt.
Turn you down?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had a good year, they sold a lot of energy this year, though, it's cold weather.
I just think whenever you have a chance, just put it in, and like you said, they can say no. If anybody's going to the conference, please give Virginia a call, because the deadline's the 31st of March for the discount.
And when is that conference?
Are you going?
April.
Who's going? You going to?
No, it's so busy at work, I was debating it, but.
That's the borough.
I want to say 23rd, but is it
26th to 29th.
26th or 29th? Okay, that's because yeah. 26th or 29th.
April, and it's always in the middle of the week.
And I'm meeting with the RP this week.
I was
So,
gonna say for the resolution, so we know
yeah,
what's
so-
going on.
yeah, so whatever comes out
Who's
of
our
that.
reps? You on one, are you one too?
Yeah.
I was last year.
Yeah. They didn't send that paperwork in yet, so usually they will send it to the borough.
I'm surprised they should have had it,
You
right?
would think, because we should vote on it by March,
Yeah.
so maybe I should have them give them a call. Okay. So that may be on there too then. This is March, anybody else have anything else?
When it comes to Emma Ryder, have you heard anything from the school yet? They did put a vote in to engage us
Right.
to purchase the land as an open space project or whatever.
Right.
But we got anything from them? They did vote, but we're waiting on a letter
They're
from them.
actually soliciting to draft a letter.
Okay, so a letter's coming from them.
So maybe you should,
So,
no official.
no, so, yeah. Well, they assumed that their vote was sufficient enough, but I told them it wasn't, so have the solicitor draft a response.
I talked to Mike Fitzpatrick's office, and he said there wasn't, he wasn't planning on coming to any meetings in the future here, so I'm not really sure. I know that there was talk about getting some money, and he said that there was no current funding that was being considered. So I don't know. I mean, I know that everybody said, you know, we're going to get funding for this, it's going to happen, but I'm just saying be cautious, because we just don't have it. And I remind everybody that January 1st, our checkbook had $34,000 in it. We're a $5.8 million budget with $34,000 in our checkbook.
Well, you borrowed the TAN fund
Well,
to
yeah,
pay the bills,
right.
right? It's tax money, wasn't it? So, they
Should get some of that.
I only say that because normally you'd start with a little bit more than $34,000, because there's just not a lot of money.
Did we want to talk about the policy committee when we met last
Yeah, go
month?
ahead. I think I might even brought that with me.
Okay. Well, you should have. You need an email address. I think it was in the box. Was it in the box?
Senator Lindsey Graham has never sent an email.
Oh, yeah, that's right, no extra.
Oh, you it's in the old,
So it's in there that we're supposed to do by ordinance?
yeah.
But it's his salary is set by, shall be set by ordinance.
You can set it by, right, set it by ordinance. You're saying paid by ordinance,
Well, it's set,
set it.
It says the salary of the borough manager shall be fixed from time to time by ordinance. And that's 65-7.
And you want that removed? Is that what you're saying? Why don't we just leave it in?
I guess he's saying just don't follow it.
You gotta do one or the other,
I know,
I guess.
You either have to follow it or take it out. And I think it's kind of a pain to.
Write an
like
ordinance
you're
every
saying,
year?
do By ordinance, right.
Every year you have to publish an ordinance.
Or we could just
Set the
amend it to say that
manager's
the salary shall be fixed by council.
Do it by resolution.
Resolutions, usually how we did it,
Yeah. That's,
as far back as
That's how
I
we
can
do it.
I'm
remember,
sure that's not,
35 years.
I think it's a requirement.
I thought I did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm absolutely right.
What's
but
that?
I thought it was required by the state of the state.
Okay,
I believe it was in there.
Oh, yes.
I would check on that. I'm sure it's set by ordinance.
But it says from time to time, so if you were to give a borough manager a 3-year contract, he would pass an ordinance for his contract. Yeah, and the contract would be the fixed rate of pay.
although you might want to have something in there that would have it incrementally higher each year or something, I mean, just like you do with, she's looking it up right now,
Oh,
see.
you have the code there?
Yeah, Ted thinks it's actually
I
in the
thought
code,
it was part of the code of management.
but I would suggest that if it's not, that you change it to
I'm
resolution,
not 100% sure, but I thought I read it.
because they're cheaper.
I don't know why we put it in, I don't know why.
Maybe that's why it was put in there. What borough code changed, so I don't know.
There's all the talk on the BBG about, contracts and, the only person who can have a contract is your borough manager. It was never mentioned that it had to be by ordinance, unless I missed it. You never seen anything like that, Dave?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't see anything in here about.
Ordinance.
By ordinance, no.
We can
Yeah,
check
ask
on
Shelley
it.
that,
We can check.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is it, 68.7?
65,
65.7?
65, so.
Okay.
Would we just change that? We would leave the actual compensation line and we'll just change it to
Can we fix by resolution?
resolution?
Yeah, I would say that you can keep it in there and just have it by resolution, rather than take the whole thing out. There's still a little bit of checks and balances there. That's just a suggestion, but, I'll get in touch with the SAB tomorrow and
The
find out.
passing of his contract would be by resolution anyway.
But I will tell you, this is done by, general code, and there have been a couple things that we found that they did wrong. We pay for this, we do it once a year, we don't do it regularly. Every time we get an ordinance, we do not call them and say, we need to put this ordinance in, we do it in a year's time. Actually, we still owe them some money. But, there were a couple things that they did that we just happened to come across and they weren't right, and we had to have it corrected. So, even though it's on E-code, if there's a question, bring it up, and we'll see if it's actually correct, and this is one of them.
By ordinance.
Okay. So what else did you want to talk about there?
Well, like I said, on the top here, the 1, 2, 3, 4, these 5 things, we were able to come to a consensus that the residency requirement should be removed, the amount of the bond should be replaced with as set forth by council. Just adding language that the manager shall hire part-time police officers per the recommendation of the chief and the mayor. Changing the timeframe for the agenda. And we were not able to come to a consensus regarding 65-8B2, regarding the manager's hiring of employees. Kind of went back and forth between the 3 of us regarding adding a nepotism policy or just having the manager state at a meeting, during a public meeting, when he was advertising for a position.
Yeah, I think we kind of looked at having to, or him, assume, let's forget personality, assume the borough manager. We also said that when it came to the part-time, short-term employees, that we would not change that at all, we would leave that. I think you and I don't know, you would agree.
But you didn't know who they were?
You
As
know,
long as they weren't permanent, it didn't have to do with full-time or part-time, it had to do with the
We're talking
duration.
about frame and hire.
Well, you also have that though in Borough Hall. They're also brought in as permanent part-time.
Right, that's not what he's talking about.
I'm talking about the temporary.
You're talking about the road crew people. 'Cause
Well, they're
otherwise-
temporary summer people that we hire.
But I'm saying, they use the same language for people in the office too.
That's because of the union language.
But I'm saying, then that would change them also, then you still aren't gonna know, you're bringing people in on that basis, and then just moving them up in the ranks, that you already brought in as part-time, permanent. Remember I asked you what that language was, and when it
Well,
become
no,
vested?
when he changes from part-time, temporary, when he's going to make it part-time, permanent, he has to advertise the position for the union contract. That's a union position. he
And we
has to
can't do
advertise.
anything about that, we can't go around
He has
that.
to advertise it.
What I'm saying is, when we get a memo.
Internally
that someone-
advertise it?
No, he posts it, and pictures are taken by the union rep, he posts it, and the bulletin board downstairs.
So that's an internal posting.
Yeah.
For
And
other-
in
you're
the library.
talking
In
now.
the library in public.
Yeah, it's a public
Correct.
notice. Now, what I think I'm hearing is that you want it put out over some kind of media.
The normal way that the union requires it would be an internal posting for any union employee who wishes to move to a different position. That would be a 30-day period, 20-day period, whatever the contract is. Then, once that expires, and if nobody within the local or the covered unions apply for the position, it is then
That's where we have it now.
publicly
Yeah.
advertised.
So how would you advertise that? That was the question. Just by posting on the bulletin board, or how would you go?
On the website,
Yeah, it's
our
not posted
website,
anywhere.
any one of the millions of job sites that are used throughout the state.
All right,
The
so
State
what
Department of
I
Labor.
think I'm hearing is that you want to now introduce,
I think it should be, I think any position, and I believe it needs to be. I think we're not quite following some of the EEOC rules and also the veterans laws and everything else by not publicly advertising these. An internal advertisement for purposes of satisfying the union contract does not meet those other requirements.
I had that research not recently, a while back, because this is not new. There is no EEOC requirement that we advertise for any job, except certain federal positions. That's what I.
And you're referring to after the 30-day period, right? So
Now,
Whatever-
after the 30-day period, you're saying if no one internally from the union.
You already, he's quoting the union. The purpose of posting it for the requirement of the contract with the union is so that other union members, not the general public, the other
Right.
union
Yeah,
members
you see it first.
can see
Right,
it
so
first.
that's what you said
Or apply
first.
And apply first, and then after that expires, it is then publicly advertised. We're not even publicly advertising on
It's
our
the
own
second
website.
level.
My question is, fine, now, we're doing the first part, internally. Now,
Yes.
you're saying that if no one from the union asks for the job,
Right.
then you can then make it a public advertisement.
Yes, it should.
Okay.
Good to-
And this should be done by posting on some of the job websites in addition to
Whatever,
posting it on the
however,
website.
whatever other municipalities in the area use
It's
and
like
our website.
monster.com
Right.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
They
There's a ton of
also
them that
put it-
don't even charge
some
a
of them
fee.
is-
If that's the only change, you have a problem with that?
No.
No.
What's wrong with
Yeah,
that?
well, because that's not what's been happening. Because the people
Well,
that
let's
work.
talk about changing the ordinance.
Oh, wait, no, because I'm telling you how this is happening though. The reason this is coming up, because you don't want to deal with a nepotism policy. The people that are in there working, that are in the union, they get that time frame to look at that. It never goes past them, because it just so happens that the next people get put in that open position that should be advertised out, still comes in as a close friend or a family.
They find out about the opening.
Well, and I said to you that night we were talking about this, how do they find out?
They might find it at the library.
The people there working in Borough Hall already tell their family and friend, and that's when they
It's
get
kind of
hired in.
possible.
It's a because, okay, then we got
They shouldn't
nepotism
be,
going
they
on. So
shouldn't
you
be
need
applying, they shouldn't be
nepotism.
applying.
I don't think it's necessarily nepotism, I think a lot
Well,
of people in
yes,
this
it is.
room got their
It's
jobs from
absolutely
people telling them.
absolutely
Yeah,
nepotism.
sure it is.
Well, excuse me, I'm just saying, a lot of people in this room got their job because someone said, hey, there's an opening
See,
coming
now-
out of my job.
And it doesn't mean in this borough either.
world, yes, she's fine. No, I never got one.
All right. Are we gonna talk about amending this so that it satisfies the concerns you have?
Yes.
Or do you wanna rehash what we've said time and time again? What do we wanna do?
Well, then we should put something in like this. I pulled, well, Todd, the Bristol boroughs. They have it here. The borough manager shall recommend to the council the hiring and when necessary for the good of the service, the suspension or discharge of any non-employees under the supervision, his supervision or hers. Provided the persons covered by the civil service provisions of the borough code shall be hired, suspended, or discharged in accordance with those provisions. Provided further that the final decision of hiring and discharge of employees shall remain with the council. You don't want that part in there.
No, I don't.
You said,
I don't care who the borough
municipalities don't
manager
do it, they do it, because you have this kind of stuff going on.
Can you share the verbiage?
Sure.
I mean, it sounds like the policy
And
committee is
that's-
close.
that's-
so-
I don't know how doing that would necessarily curb what you're trying to curb.
How would you suggest not having the family and friends plan we have downstairs?
Well, I understand, but if you have a majority of a certain ilk on council, you
Council,
just vote them in
they're
anyway.
gonna hire who they want anyhow.
Oh my God.
No, you don't think so?
Well, then you need a nepotism policy, this isn't gonna work.
That's right.
You need a nepotism
The
policy.
nepotism policy excludes people who have a right to apply for a job, whether it's my nephew, my grandmother, my
If-
grandmother. Those people have a right to apply for a job like anyone else, and they should not be excluded because they're related to somebody.
I believe you're wrong with that.
Well, I
If
don't
someone knows, there's a lot of places that have nepotism policies, that you can't have family work in the same place that you work, there's a lot of places that do that, they don't get sued for that. You knew that before you go in the door, that is their policy, they show you their policies, employment policies, before you even go there. That's a fact, you can't tell me that they don't have nepotism policies, they do.
They may, but I think they're wrong.
Then we're in a difference of opinion, because otherwise we're gonna keep going in a circle.
Why
Well,
can't-
the hotel, when I worked at the hotel, if there was a couple that was dating, and as soon as they got married, one had to quit.
Exactly.
I agree with that. But
Try that,
that's
try
not
that
what we
in the
do
police
here.
department. Let's say a police officer passes the test we hire. Now, his wife, let's forget personalities here, is on the same list, but she's 2 names behind it. She comes up to get hired.
It's like me, I got stuff.
Mhm.
We can't hire her because she's related to this police officer that we hired?
If you had a policy in,
No, you couldn't
in place.
violate, no, you can't violate civil service law, you have to hire.
okay, well then they're governed different than the regular
Well,
employees.
that's my point. Why should they be governed different than the other employees?
Take that up with civil service.
Because you got a
Why-
situation that
why
you're not
should-
voting.
Why
You
should a
do not-
position,
wait a
why
minute.
should a
They are
position?
not voting their
Civil
salaries.
service would never
That's
change.
the difference. We vote the salaries for the police
Sure we
department.
do.
Exactly. Those 2 people, or any 2 people who be married in the police department, don't vote their salaries. We do. So if family is hired
They
and you
negotiate
have to
their
vote a
salaries.
salary, you're voting it. That's a conflict of interest. You're voting the salary for the
No,
people
no, you're
who
talking
work.
about an nepotism policy, that we can't have 2 people who are related.
Well,
working in
that
the
would
same
eliminate
place.
it. That would eliminate that happening.
How would it eliminate us not hiring the wife or the brother of a police officer who already works?
Show me the manager.
If you had nepotism policy.
That is a problem. People come to me all the time and say, I didn't know.
So your
I don't
best
like that.
is 3 people work.
I think that would be huge if you start advertising.
I have no problem with advertising.
Advertising.
If that's what you wanna do, no problem with it.
So are we gonna add that to 65-8B2? Are we gonna add that?
Why is this in the manager's thing though? I mean, that's,
Because
let me
it's
take
part
this
of it.
back
It's
again.
part of the
It's
ordinance.
part of it.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
We're gonna go all the ordinance.
Because he's the one that hires.
Yeah, it's a
Is there
hiring
any
job.
objection to having him interviewing and doing a recommendation to council, and then council does final approval on hiring a permanent employee?
That's what he did with the library.
I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, at least the vote is public, it's not done,
Yeah.
you know, the
Well,
initial,
at what point are you gonna do that? Are you gonna do it after he's hired somebody, or you
Or
do
if
it?
he
if
says,
it's an emergency situation, yeah, we have to.
or if he
It would
says,
be, his hiring would be on contingent on whether it
he would
passes.
say, this is the person I wanna
Yeah,
hire.
And we would all say,
That's kind of how the
No.
police get
no,
hired.
but then he would,
You get through
So,
civil service,
then we'd
all
have
that,
to go
and
back
then
and
council
he would
would
have to go back and
do it.
go back and interview
Yeah,
more
but
people.
you guys do
and-
vote them in, is all I'm saying.
That's why when Bristol has in there that they, it's a final say of the council. that it, like I said, it's out in the public and you're still gonna be able to, you have to go out in public and say you're gonna be voting family in. Because if you're not putting in nepotism, how are you gonna stop it?
Also, if anybody, is anybody familiar with Bristol Borough and their council and how they meet and so forth?
That's what you just
When they
read, right?
meet and,
Well, this is their, part of their.
Bristol Borough.
be aware,
Bristol Borough.
yeah.
But I mean, there's a bunch of ones that are pulled to see what the different municipalities
I
do.
know, which is where the superintendent advertises, interviews, you know, and recommends, and then the final approval is on.
Has the board ever not,
Yeah.
based on what reason?
Qualification, one of them.
Qualifications, all right, that's,
Very legitimate.
yeah, but you're talking about some cases professionals.
In the school district, yes, I think.
Yeah,
it's-
talk about
Well,
labor.
they hire aides, they hire all kinds of people. I mean, everybody's approved, crossing guards are approved.
I thought our police department.
They approve, they approve.
No, the borough manager hires, he hires who they, police department
Right.
recommends the same.
But I thought you were saying that
So
They
it's
go
way
by
those-
whoever is,
who's ever recommended to them.
Okay,
Oh,
what
okay.
we do under our capacity.
All right, so then we would have to then remove this manager shall hire part-time police officers with the recommendation of the police chief. The manager would be accountable.
Where that came from, and all I think it needs is new wording, is that the final paperwork comes through the manager. The manager's
He
not
just writes
hiring,
the letter.
he's just writing a
Yeah,
letter.
but that's,
He's not hiring the
Yes.
police department.
yeah, but you have to use that
That's
term.
what he did with
You
the
have to
last
use
couple
that term.
Right.
But it's always been done like that.
Yeah.
Manager who hired the last couple part-timers, so.
And all the
Yeah, but he
ordinances.
didn't, excuse me, he didn't go out and find
Like
them,
yours,
interview them.
The chief got it.
But he hired, he sent a letter, says you're hired.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, so if we need to change that
I
wording
think
of that
that's,
letter.
this is a council discussion, I think that's a clear violation of borough code where it says police officer hired by council. It's clear in borough code. It gets a little convoluted when you say, well, he's a part-timer, he's not civil service, but you're still hiring as an officer. You're not hiring as a custodian, the department's still an officer.
Right.
So I do believe the council should be the one hiring part-time. And I can see where this has its benefits, having the manager do it, but I don't think it's the proper way.
Well, actually, the chief, if you had to remove that part-time.
Right. According to this, it's only
You
the
have to
manager
come
can do
before
it.
council, you have to have a hearing, you have to have a lot of rigmarole. That's the reason we've done that. Was to prevent that kind of complication. Doesn't make it easy, it's trying to make it less easy to get counsel involved in some ugly conflicts. Maybe it's not the right way, want to change it, fine.
Yeah, I don't think that's the proper way, personally.
You mean just for police, or for,
Well, I was just talking about,
He was
talking
bringing
about
up
the
some
officer,
way
I was
we
talking
can
about.
change that language to satisfy the chief who wants to be the one that really hires the person, he just gives the name.
My concern is when somebody becomes a permanent employee, and, you know, temporary road crew and stuff like that, for emergency situations is one thing, but when somebody becomes a, you know, permanent part of the payroll, it should be the legislative body that decides whether or not, you know, it's done in public, and, you know, it's on his recommendations when that person's gonna become permanent.
I think your key word there was legislative. That's what we're supposed to be working on. I don't know that hiring is part of what that to me, is not necessarily legislative.
We're having issues with, we control the hiring and firing, and that's exactly what's been said here before. Council hires and fires, and we're not, we're delegating it to the borough manager, and there's been some issues that have been raised, and, you know, how do we correct it?
Victor explained to you also the pitfalls of having a council making those decisions.
We're making the final vote, we're telling the borough manager that that's not the person. The borough manager, if the borough manager has to publicly advertise it, interview it, and then present a final person to us, it's done in public instead of in his office, and, you know, it's already done by the time we know, because that person is already an employee by the time we know, because his reports haven't even been in the timely manner, so.
Well, that can be another
Honestly, I don't think anything can be settled here tonight, but I think you're really on the right path to coming to drawing this in. couple sticking points that maybe everybody should kind of sit down and write them down and then have a discussion rather than
Oh, I
just
think
keep
it's
talking.
I don't think it's gonna be settled tonight.
No, but I think you have some very good ideas.
I have no problem with that.
I think advertising is important. I had a person who never shared this
I think we
story.
need to be sure what the union contract says. But
Well,
it
that's
doesn't-
different.
That's-
Yeah, that's totally different because you have to follow those rules.
Right, exactly. And that's
You're
how
obligated to.
it's done.
But there was a woman who contacted me, said she applied for one of the secretary jobs, didn't get it, it was understood. But was told, hey, we have your resume, if something else ever comes up, we'll call you. And then other people got hired, she says, I didn't know about it, I wasn't contacted, and she was pretty upset about it. So have those jobs been advertised, there really wouldn't be anything to be upset about, because then it's up to that person to apply.
Still getting on the utilizing of it.
Well, that could be one of the ways it gets advertised. You know, you don't have to advertise only one way. You could throw it on the website, you can also put it somewhere else that you guys think is a good way to circulate it.
Did you take notes?
And it's not
With
recorded.
regards to the wording, that's what I'm just talking about. Well, and that,
But the other thing that we're agreeing on, except Dave doesn't
we're
like the
doing
manager.
a notice to hire clause.
I think you'll find it.
You don't like the.
Didn't you say that, a notice to hire clause? Do you want to put a notice to hire clause in this?
Well, at what point are we saying, because
Again,
they're
you
saying,
have
I
to-
need,
It has to go, I
X, Y,
understand
Z.
council should know in advance that there's a vacancy and who we intend to hire. I have no problem.
but is he doing that after he has
No,
followed the
if
union?
we change it, yes, he does the union bid first.
Yeah, you
And
have
he tells
to.
the
Right, and
council.
then he tells us,
And then he tells council, I still have a vacancy here, I intend to hire so-and-so.
okay.
And if he does it at the meeting, now it's also out there.
Right,
If he announces
exactly.
it, I think that would solve a lot of issues.
That's what
I really
it
do.
Why do you keep saying he?
Why?
Because it's a sexist world we live in.
Oh. I don't need it.
It's because your son doesn't live at the house anymore, you live with all those women.
I live with a woman.
So you're saying our manager's not a he, is that what you're trying to tell me?
The next one, in
I
the
know.
future, in the
We're
future.
thinking down the line. You're thinking of next week, I'm thinking of next year, the year after. You don't know who.
Of course not, my crystal ball battery's died, it doesn't tell me who the next one is.
So, you say we can't fix it tonight, but I say we're already here, and at least let's come up with some phrasing that you'd like to input. Now, you'd said that we would have the borough manager goes through the process that he needs to regarding internal. After that, he comes and says that, or sends out a memo that there's still an opening, and that,
Another thing that, sorry to interrupt, but another thing that we were talking about was, as opposed to putting all this in an ordinance, we actually create like a job task thing for the next, in the future, borough manager. So that it not necessarily has to be an ordinance.
What has to change.
Job duty.
Right.
well, job description should be different than, but I think by putting it, the way it was done here was,
Iron Swear.
very different, yes, very different than just a job description.
Right.
This is, you know,
Well, that was kind of the point that we were bandying
in
about.
addition to, you're meaning in addition to the ordinance or instead of?
Just not to keep it so specific, I guess, if you're gonna say it in terms of, advertising. I mean, you never know in 10 years what they're gonna have, so I don't know if
Yeah.
you're gonna wanna have to deal with changing it or something like that. I don't know if you're gonna wanna do it by ordinance or by, I don't know.
Actually, the ordinance is, the way they did it back then, mainly because they saw certain, same way you're seeing certain problems, councils back then saw certain problems, they wanted to take it out. That's why it's ordinance.
Back then, did they have unions?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
Really 1991.
In the borough,
He's been here 32 years, so you don't know. Did you say you were here 32 years doing
38.
everything? There you go. I don't know, I just know that we have real issues the way things get hired, and it looked real bad when that ASPE contract went through, real bad. And it's,
Well, I
they agree with the manager, let's hire so-and-so, even though he's really or she's related to somebody. Okay?
And they're qualified.
And they qualify. You're still gonna have the same criticism.
But at least it's done in the public.
You think that's
So
gonna change any
from the
criticism?
moment
It's not gonna
It's
it's
not
not-
gonna change any
it's
criticism.
it's not gonna satisfy everybody, but at least there's a chance to
You
somebody.
say you appear more,
More transparent,
Transparent.
and you also have, anybody who objects to that hiring has the chance to speak on it. It's not a done deal by the time they hear about it.
You mean the public objecting, or?
It would be in the agenda, so yes, the public could object, any other council member
oh,
could object.
that's dangerous ground.
See, why it's on
You
this-
got a person
going
applying
there.
for a job, and somebody from the club's gonna get up there and say she's a rat.
It's gotta be, it's gotta be, it's gotta be.
I don't know about that.
Somebody transparent. And I think
That's
people applying for a
dangerous.
job should be under scrutiny like that.
Really.
Not to-
That's why I said, I don't think you're really gonna finish this tonight, but you're making
Yeah.
leaps and bounds. Personally, I think just having it, the stuff advertised is huge. I really do.
I don't know how we're saying that that's not how it's done. When you have any governmental agency lists on the agenda of their boards, the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey does it, Delaware Authority does it. I mean, it's done everywhere when they hire individuals. You have to either set a policy as to where it's done, if it's full-timers who become permanent employees, and leave the others to the hiring discretion of the manager for temporary positions, but this is not like, we're not inventing the wheel here.
No, I know that.
It's all-
Oh,
But
no,
they
we're-
still have nepotism.
But they still hire who they want.
Absolutely,
Ted.
but it's done in
It doesn't
public,
matter,
though.
they can
They
advertise
still
without
hire
full.
who they want, and I think the reason this was written was because council was not gonna do it right. This predates me, this
I
ordinance.
think you're also talking, it does, and you're also talking about a time when things weren't necessarily televised, there wasn't the internet.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
it's
you
right,
know,
we didn't have
different
it much
time.
out
It's a
before.
totally different time.
It's a simpler time.
It was.
But we're still 2 square miles.
And we had 10,000 people back
Basically,
then.
you said, it was a
But, you know, that just, everybody talks to everybody, I mean, even now, I think there's much more connection now than there ever was. I'm not saying it's all positive, but we definitely have much more connection.
I still don't see anything wrong with it being.
All right,
Well, hiring, being done publicly, I have no problem with that. Maybe that should be done.
all right. Well, maybe you just work on some kind of wording,
Okay.
some of the
Some of the things
stuff
that
that
were
popped
said.
up. But
And
you
if
mentioned
it-
hiring.
if it's open, maybe, she would let people send her some emails and suggestions, if they remember what they said tonight. It's a lot to try to remember from tonight.
I mean, it has to go through the bargaining unit first,
Yeah,
then it's advertised.
Advertised,
and-
conducts his interviews, whether it be internally or from.
All right.
public.
Suppose he picks somebody for the bargaining fee, I'm saying to you again.
You're worse than me.
Say a person from the bargaining unit is selected for the jump up or whatever. Now, that person's name would have to come up before council.
No.
I don't think.
No,
I think
because
it's
it's-
first,
It's a term deal because it's.
He's already
it's a
employed.
bargaining-
He's not hiring.
This is only when we can't fill the job from somebody.
It's when you
who-
hire
Yes.
somebody outside of your current bargaining agreement.
Yes.
Because then what's happening is that person moves and there's still another vacancy, so that vacancy then becomes, the same thing happens all
Right,
over
if it's a
again.
lateral move.
You're not eliminating one
I have no
position.
problem. All right, that's a little different, that's good. Now, how do you change this thing about the police officer? The part-time police officer?
Doesn't it come down to the fact that they're employees? That's,
But they're police
Yeah, but
officers.
what he's
Borough
saying,
code
he's
says-
saying the borough code, that's council hires police
And
officers.
it does say
There
that.
is a section in the borough code, Dave, and you're the mayor, where you can appoint police officers.
In an emergency
You can
situation.
make- Well, you're full borough, full part-time. Everybody that you, every borough in this county hires part-time police officers under that. That they don't have to stop, so.
But
they
if
do.
if we're contemplating changing who actually does the final say, wouldn't that cover that too?
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
think,
but
don't you think?
well, maybe then you can fight.
they
the
should be
short
separate.
hire the guy you
don't
want.
you, are you thinking they should be separate?
He's saying, throw it in the same pot as this.
I'm not really going to understand his answer.
Okay.
You're saying change that?
No.
So that we
That's
throw
From the
part-time
police
police-
hiring versus the other permanent hiring.
Well, I don't know, I'd have to think about that.
Think about it hard.
Think
Because
about
just like what the recommendation here, I like, but I still, really do like what you said about the
That's
manager
the way it's
doing
been
it.
done.
However, I still think it violates borough code.
See, so right now,
So I
for our
have to
part-time police
contemplate
officers,
that.
if you're gonna hire one tomorrow, does the chief get who these people are coming in first?
Oh,
Does
yeah.
he-
To be honest with you, the chief would tell Tom, this is the guy
He
that I
recruits
like.
through
Okay,
So
he gets
reviews.
names
Tom's
of
not doing
officers.
recruiting.
But I still believe council should be the one that says, okay, this is, we want this guy.
Okay, so,
Even under those recommendations, council should be making a vote to hire him because he's a police officer.
like we would do any officer that you're swearing in.
Absolutely, same thing. So basically, rather than civil service rules, picking the top three and all that good
He
stuff.
doesn't belong to civil service.
Exactly, so this way, you're getting a recommendation from, the mayor, the chief, the manager, all saying, this is who we would like to bring on as a part-timer, and then the council says yes or no.
So we can can we change that, do you think, to say that council shall hire part-time per the recommendation?
Yes,
Do it like
That's
that.
okay.
absolutely, that's actually the way I think it's
Okay.
the proper way.
You see it in the paper all the time, Morrisville Borough is hiring 2 more.
And you brought up a.
No, they've just hired their first part-time person, they've been fighting for it for 6
Dartmouth
months.
hired
No, they hired.
They've not had a part-time.
Darley are all part-time.
Bristol Borough?
Bristol Borough
So
has
the
not had
official
part-timers.
vote's gonna come from the council, it's
That's
still gonna come
correct.
through the police department with you, as the mayor and the chief.
So instead of the manager giving you.
It should be you.
It would be the chief.
Yeah.
Okay, he's getting a recommendation, we get the final vote for it.
Right.
And I think that's the clean and proper way to do it. It really doesn't change much,
And
it's
they
just,
can come in here and be a witness when we go to fire, Scott.
I think I would be anyway. Why's it gotta be a guy you're firing, Nick? Ah, you like that, huh? You said this guy. Oh, what about the future? Vic, come on. What you say, sexist?
But,
That's right. 2015.
I don't know. I mean, I think that he's right. Actually, he's right, the way you should do it. I've said this 30 years ago. However, you're putting council in a
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
bad position.
No matter what you do, there's always a little loophole that somebody, it's gonna ruffle somebody's feathers.
Because now, if this officer, if you fire him for cause or borough cause, you have to give him a borough hearing.
You would anyway.
But it's a part-timer, so I don't do it.
It's a part, you still have to give him a hearing. If you're not firing them for cause, you gotta give them a hearing.
But that would happen
Yes, no
whether
matter what.
the manager did or we did. Think about
Yeah,
it.
but now the way it's done is it's a hearing. And then it says, look, yeah, it's time to go. If it's a part-time, it's not doing what it's, he or she's supposed to
You
do.
just don't give them hours.
Right.
There's always places.
Yeah, I know that.
So, come on. See, but I mean, so don't scare the council if you already got a trick up your sleeve.
All right, just one last thing, when it comes to the MRA property and the letter that went up to them, in school about it, we're gonna need an appraisal. Do we need to put a motion on the agenda to
Pray
get?
for what?
Yeah, for what?
That way, if you're gonna
I
try
thought
to
the
use,
school board did that already.
yeah, but
I think you need 2.
And our letter from our attorney said that we're gonna get one.
if you're gonna try to use open space, it sounded like another appraisal is
So
gonna
we
be
need,
required.
we don't have any money for that.
I
Put some open space.
I'm gonna let it out right now. I don't think we should spend a dime on the transfer of this property, other than if we acquire the property to fix it, that's our responsibility then.
Fix it, we can fix it.
Well, tear it down, do whatever you want, but that would be our problem, once we acquire it.
So you're saying that the school should just hand it over to us?
Of course they should.
I knew that answer.
We already paid for it. Did the taxpayers pay for that school?
No, it was given to them.
Yeah.
That I am,
By the developer.
yeah, believe it or not, it's a very,
What school you talking about? MRI?
yeah, it's an interesting deed. This is stuff that you would never see in a deed today. But I'm not
It
gonna.
was gifted to the,
I
it was
don't
gifted to the
think the
district
borough
for the
should
purpose
spend a
of.
dime for the property.
Well, I think.
Other than, I'm gonna need to
think-
remedy the, if we get the property and we have to fix it, that's a borough problem.
What I
Give
think,
the school board money? No.
well, I think before you give them money, you gotta make sure there's, you gotta come up with that agreement, you know.
Well, the agreement is a different thing,
That's-
a
yeah.
dollar.
Well, I'm not suggesting.
I don't think they're going there.
Well, it's gotta be a 7-to-1 vote then, because I don't vote to pay the school board for one piece of public property, being doesn't matter how they got it, being transferred to another public agency. I just don't see why the taxpayers should pay for
They're not
it.
paying for it, it's coming out of grant that's established.
The grant is different.
It's coming out of
the
the open space
grant.
grant.
That's
Fine,
that's
okay, fine, I'm
what
100%
the boroughs, that's, how else would you pay for it?
Are you gonna get
So,
them?
so we're hijacking our open space money that we're gonna use in Williamson Park for MR Ryder?
Why would you it's the borough's money to spend on what they want. If the borough council decides
We
to buy this
talked-
property.
How many times did we talk about Williamson Park and using the money for Williamson Park?
But I don't think
Making
you
that the
have a
premier.
consensus of that.
We don't really get to.
Well, we
use
did,
Williamson Park.
we did.
Right. This is a different argument
Yes.
than mine. I just want the borough taxpayer to be taxed to pay for the school.
Well, and you know my view on this, I've been over this many, many times.
Yeah, which is
Suppose the
what
school is making a decision at this point. They're realizing they'd have to go through zoning, they'd have to get variances. A developer isn't gonna go do that with no guarantee that they're gonna get that through. And a lot of council would not, I know I wouldn't, I would rather have it as an open space. It's historic next door to it. It's
That's
once in a
fine.
lifetime to make it open space. My view, Williamson Park, there's a lot of other grants that you can bring in that can do some of those other amenities. We're still working on the plans. Nobody from council has issued one idea over to them at all about what you want to do. You want to do this plan down there, and a whole year's gone by, and not one person has sent anything in. I mean,
You
Mr.
make a
Spencer
good
was
point.
asking.
Well, I mean,
My
they're a
point
very
is-
capable group, and I mean,
But
us as council members,
Well-
granted, we're
But
community
what Debbie was
members.
saying was, you have
But-
Williamson Park that's there. It'll be there, you have plenty of time to find grants and work on it.
I
But
understand
if you
that.
let the Ryder property slip away, it's gone.
Who's it
So,
going to? They nobody wants.
I'm just saying, if you let it go,
I
it's
won't say
gone.
that.
Oh, I mean to a developer?
For anyone,
But
because
it's,
this
it's
is
not
a
going anywhere,
once in a
but the money
lifetime.
is going away.
That's true, you have 2 years, right? I think.
I mean,
When-
the grant money.
When
There's
you
a lot of
think about it,
That's a hard argument.
And the open space, that's the true intent for the open space.
What
To acquire,
we're saying here is that we don't use tax money from borough residents to pay for the property. We use the grant money that we would have
Make
used
the
for the
improvements
park.
too.
I just don't see giving
But
money to
can
the
you
school.
legally
and
go take that grant money that's already appropriated for that specific project and take it from there
And it's not appropriated for any project.
It's appropriated for
Just
Morrisville
verbally, verbally
Borough.
it was, Dave.
it was appropriated for the open space.
It was.
So we-
Verbally,
I'm
we
saying
talked
the
about
county,
doing-
the county didn't, something was given to the county?
No,
That's what I'm saying, it's not appropriated. for
No,
the-
no, I'm talking verbally, here, we talked about before, yeah, we talked about.
You know, people change their minds all the time.
Well, to me, it's gonna come down to an importance, and I believe that that is more important. And then, like I said, Williams Park is gonna be there.
Yeah, but you're gonna need money to decommission that school.
Exactly.
That was a
Looking at
big
hundreds
stick.
of thousands of dollars.
That could be done through grants. It seriously could be done through grants.
Well, you're right,
But this is,
you have to find that money, otherwise
Yeah,
you
right,
can't. That's
in
part of
advance,
it.
because we
Well,
have to
in
fund
advance.
for $60,000.
Yeah, absolutely in
straight
advance, because you wouldn't wanna
Yeah.
get stuck with property and then say, what do we do with the building? So you have to
Yeah,
have
like-
all that worked out.
So
That's
do
all
it,
worked out.
so
That's
do
the plan.
your agreement that you make up on a contingency.
Exactly, say we'll buy it, but we're gonna have to give us a year to
I
find
don't
it.
think it's bond.
And what are we buying, we spend the whole 298?
You guys have to negotiate that with the
Well,
school.
that's
We
the
can-
purpose.
But with the
That-
contingency that you find grant money to demo the building, because I agree, you don't wanna
We're
get stuck
gonna
with
spend
it.
So far, we're talking $350,000, not counting asbestos.
I don't know what it is.
And that's
It's
not
my
even,
profession.
that's a whole other thing, there's not even a true estimate on the.
On the asbestos,
On
we
the
don't
demo,
really.
No one really
demolition,
knows.
true demolition cost.
Yeah,
All right, so
I'm
let me
working
ask you,
on that.
once this letter comes from the school, they vote to send us this letter and says, okay, we'll put the vote up and we're giving you, there was 3 options, 2 were tabled, and the first one was to approach us about doing a sale with us. Okay, say you have that letter here today, what would you do at this point? Get the appraisal, correct?
If we wanted to